All right. So this is the after chapter discussion for 9.55. And it's been like a month, at least over a month. It's been closer to a month and a half since we last did this. So this is going to be fun. We'll just start out with everyone's general impressions for this chapter. So go ahead and start thinking about your guys' general impressions. I'll get us started. This was a 78K chapter, I think, at the end of the day. A 78K chapter. It was split into two parts. 78K is reminiscent of what the end of volume 8 ended up being. So yeah, it was a gigantic chapter and it had a lot going on. But overall, I thought it was an amazing chapter. I really, really loved it. The biggest thing, I think, like the greatest thing in the chapter, in my opinion, was Erin kind of learning, Erin getting the fate thing down finally. Not, she hasn't learned it all completely, but she's gotten the gist of it now. And so she started to remember her home. And, that was really cool. Just being able to remember her home and have that as the Christmas present for everyone, just to show where she's from. And I thought that was a very powerful scene, especially with the Earther reaction, the other Earthers' reactions to it as well. So that was probably my favorite part of the chapter. The presents also were really fun. I'm really excited to see what Casigna has in store in later chapters because, she's obviously getting things set up right now with the ghosts being present in the world. So yeah, it was just a jam-packed chapter though, and those were just some of my favorite parts. But let's not stick with what I like too much. Let's go to your guys' reactions. Eteron, you want to speak?
Yes, I can just agree. This was an amazing chapter. I don't even know where to start exactly. There was so much. As always, TWI. This chapter made me laugh, made me almost cry, get my heart start racing with the fight, and it was just everything was amazing. It was nice to finally see the result of Erin's dance training. The fate stuff that she finally knows now how it like at least it works like a bit is nice, but to be honest, the most shocking thing for me was the fight. And although he I can't the name of the servant
I just call him Tolv.
Tolv, thank you. Yes, although Tolv had hold himself back, she kinda did go toe to toe with a 70 plus monster, and that's amazing. I mean, there is a saying that you don't attack a witch in their own lair. It's commonly known in every fantasy trope. And it's nice that Erin finally showed us that's why. She's almost level 50 plus. She is named rank, and to see her really let loose, to see how Erin Solstice really fight, and that was amazing. I think she could have taken like almost anybody in her inn, and to see that was amazing, and it was funny.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I didn't even mention the Tolv fight, but just the fact, Tolv he did say he was holding back, like he obviously couldn't just kill her because he wanted to know what she had to say. So yeah, that was one aspect of it where she was, getting off lightly, but at the same time, she did seriously hurt him at some points in that fight. So
I
it's just
I,
amazing.
I just imagine if it were somebody like, I don't know, she had to fight against somebody like Grimalkin, or even another normal name-rank adventurer. I think she would have won. She would have. I think she would have won, to be
She's.
honest.
I definitely think she would have had a really good shot at the very least. Like
Yeah.
it would be close at the very
But
least.
what a little bit confused me was, I thought you couldn't get hurt or in the garden.
I
I
think
mean,
she can control that.
all right, all right.
Yeah. So that's plus, I think she can control that. Plus, Tolv is a really, really high level person, so I wouldn't be
Ah,
surprised if he could just say, "No, I'm going to do this anyways."
yeah.
But yeah, is that everything, Aderon?
For now, yes.
All right, thank you, Aderon. Let's move on to some of the text reactions. Sato says, "It was a good chapter, made me cry." Action Kermit said, "I wish Erin had mentioned all the little parks and statues in Garden and Grand Rapids so that there's a visible connection to the garden and sanctuary." Um, yeah, that's a pretty good idea, honestly. Uh, maybe Paradabo will include that in the future. Lovelu says this chapter had everything: fights, cool character interactions, Earther stuff being talked about and explored openly, Rabbit Eater and Lionette actually interacting with her sister. Everything. I love this chapter. Oh yeah. I forgot about Rabbit Eater for a second there. I'm so glad we got to see him again and got to see him interact with Erin again. I really hope we get the battle or whatever is going to happen between Rabbit Eater and um, Rabbit Eater, the Tyrandaran fleet, and Aurux and Ascrash. I hope that's this volume, but it could be pushed off to next volume. We'll see. Linu says, the length doesn't matter for cats. Cats have good sight. Chapter score, 13 out of 10, plus 10 for mention of Sylvania, plus 2 for ships, plus 1 for Aquarium Funny Lady. She would fight and rehear. That's Menrez, by the way, who's a great character. And Linu also says, small plot-wise for me, Chapty, with rats being smacked around by undead trash elf who got in turn trashed by Erin. Insert Sylvania, what the fuck here? I didn't really like it, but Chips, Wisps, and Tyrandrain stuff was Pog. Also, Casigna also, once again, proves that the gods, even at their lowest, are disgustingly powerful. Very true. Sato says, plus 100 for rest of the red-nosed. Mystical Pie says, I really enjoyed the Toll fight and everything surrounding Erin's present in the garden. It's nice to see some payoff for her games with Shaystral and all the prep she's been doing for the solstice. Also, Ballista. Oh yeah, Ballista was great. Loved it. Magnolia quickly becomes N's number one favorite in terms of bird, anyways. Civ Seer says, my favorite part of this chapter is Pirate unintentionally named a character after me, and it's nearly perfect. Nearly perfect fit. The only other character who shares my bloodlust is like Terry's. I like her, but she's kind of one note right now. I'll take Zakil's instead. I have no idea how to pronounce that name, so if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Civ Seer, tell me. But yeah, it's a nice name. It's cool that we got his name, though, he's dead. Sir Bear says, I think the chapter had too many point of views with the theater. The fact they could also see the garden was weird. Well, they had a door open from the theater to the garden to be able to see into it. I'm pretty sure. Almighty Nub said, I loved Ilvama finally committing fully to the N family. And Sipsteer says, fuck if I know, I'm just a fellow Zach. Okay. As long as you have it, it's somewhat close. All right, let's go back to people speaking now. Mr. Europe, you wanted to give your reactions.
Yeah, this was a great chapter. All the things I love coming back. Like, really missed Pirates writing, and it really showed like its best foot forward in this chapter. Uh, I'd say the only thing that was kind of weird to me was that I think the Tolv fight was a bit hard to follow, personally, even though it's cool. But obviously, that's because some stuff is still hidden for the it's a teaser for the actual fight. So
What? Just wanted a quick question for that. What exactly about it was hard to follow for you?
No, it was just the sudden throwing around in the gardens, and then the kind of abrupt end to it, and all made me feel like I was missing some things, and I just got a general sense of what's exactly going on here, and it was just not the most clear fight I think the part's written, but it didn't really bother me since they said outright that she was the whole point of it was just Erin flexing and showing off what she has and training so that it'll be better once the actual fight happens.
All right.
But,
I was just saying, okay, that makes sense. I didn't get the same confusion as you did, but I can see kind of why it was confusing, because it's kind of like hopping around a lot, and the way it was portrayed was it kind of like when Tolv was hit by the lightning, it kind of flashed forward to him being hit and him having like craters in his body. So it's kind of
yeah.
it was a bit messy. I can
Yeah,
see
I
that.
mean, it works as well. It's from Tolv's perspective, and obviously or a bit of it is from his perspective, and obviously he's very confused about what's going on. So it didn't bother me too much. It was just a bit strange. But yeah, I love the chapter. Love Erin just calling around random people and asking for inane things and being shut down horribly by most people. Uh, Erin, it's always nice when, even when she succeeds in the end, like here, when Erin is obviously flailing and trying to do something that isn't going to happen. Oh, and last thing, the start of the Tolv stuff was incredible. I thought, just randomly shooting magic at Erin, just barely missing because of various things, and then standing there like a creep in the window. It was very he's always fairly entertaining when he's just skulking around like a slightly like a failing creep, I'd say.
Yeah, I honestly think this was one of Tolv's strongest showings in any chapters. It was just really fun to see him here. And you're right, the shooting random bits of magic from miles away and just having the Fae screw with him and screw it up. It was a really fun time. And is that all, Mr. Yip?
That's all for me for now.
All right. Let's go to Sidehammer next.
Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
All right. Sorry, I'm still in the hospital, but I wouldn't want to miss this at all. It's so good to be back, guys. It's so good to be back. Oh, it's been a month and a half, hasn't it? Like a little more than that?
Yep. Yep.
But it's like a balm to my soul, to be honest. It's really good to be back for this. So I of course love the chapter. Maybe that's probably comes from the relief of just getting a chapter, but a lot of it's from how good the chapter was. I definitely really loved it. I could spot a few faults here and there. It seems a bit reflective of Pirates Are the Writing right now. Grape Song seems to say a lot of that, or they've got a lot of that in the brain, and it's definitely appearing more and more as the two are written so closely together. But I don't fault it for that. It's just something I noticed. I wonder if it's one of those things like last time. If I had no inkling of Gravesong being written at the time, or if I wasn't part of the community, would it really would I notice, or would I notice anything about the extra Kara bits or Seraphel being mentioned or stuff like that? So I don't think I would. So I don't think it's enough to take anybody out of the story, but it's just something I noticed. I have to say, Hadalt is best boy still. He was just still amazing. That cape and and him just being awesome and giving it to Mercia, that is just the coolest. Mercia is going to be jumping around with her cape now and her new magic wand, the wand of the Mercia, and the Fellowship of the Inn will rise again, and she will be the great and terrible Mercia once more. That's just brilliant. um, I got a couple more thoughts. The fight was really awesome, but a lot of you have already covered that. I did like getting Tolv's point of view of or his thoughts on Ash Crash, and actually, it was quite interesting to see after he punted the rat, which was pretty good. I I really liked hearing that he thought that Ascrash wasn't half as powerful as the Putrid one is. And I don't know. I really want to know if that's like, could we use that for power scaling? Is that real? I really doubt he's like half as powerful. He seemed as powerful. Was that just 12 being dismissive of a quote unquote lesser necromancer, or was he actually not that impressed with Ascrash's power, at least what he can sense through the rat? I'm really curious about that. Like, we know that Tolv, we know that the Putrid one, or Zakiels, we know he was like up there, and back during like the real times when power was like when gold rings were like level 60s and name ranks were like level 80s and shit. They're the old day power. So we know he was way up there. Like what do you think? Maybe 90s or something? I don't know. But he fought dragons to pretty much stand still, so he had to be up there. It's just that, just to think of that, to think of Asgarash is not half as powerful, or if you even think of that, that's just kind of crazy. I loved seeing Rabbit again, and obviously the Ivory Five are some of my favorites. I can't wait for them to reach the end. I really want to see. I want to see Seraphel in the end. Like, I'm not sure how soon that's going to happen. Like, I just want her to be. I think she'll be like finally be safe. Like, I want her in a place that's finally safe for her to talk, like, just with reservation with Leonette for the first time. And I think the inn is the place that she'll be like fully safe. But I'm curious about this new knight that has been sent to follow her and to get Lynette back. I'm sure he's going to be a dick. I'm sure Mercia is going to give him a hard time, which is going to be fun. But hopefully he's not a match for Mercia. And to be honest, I really like seeing Erin flex her powers as a witch, and most of her powers just regularly. Just seeing her play with color, taking the happiness out of the ball and giving it back to Akira. That was a touching thing. It's like no, I would never do. I was just a test type of thing. When she realized what she was doing, she's like, "Oh fuck, I can't do that." But it is really cool to see just how powerful and which way she could really go if a witch wanted to. It's really interesting to see that power. And then I have to say, finally, I had a sort of a, not a premonition, but a thought, just an inkling shrouded in my head, is that I think if Erin levels up before or hits level 50 before the fight with on the solstice, that they're going to lose on the solstice. It's going to be really bad. However, I think if she hasn't leveled by then, and no consolidation, none of that, then it's going to be a little less difficult. And what she is missing in her power set right now is damaging moves. If you're putting people in death battle, I'd put Erin up against a lot of those people within her garden and her domain, within the doors and and all the rooms. But she lacks a big punch at the end. If you can deal with the acid, which I think is kind of cheaty. If you can deal with the acid, she lacks a big finishing punch. So she needs a portal cannon, as it says on my name. And I think with that education note out of the way, I'm done. Thanks for listening to me ramble, guys. I love being back.
All right, thank you, Sidehammer. I definitely agree with you when you said that the Cape of Heroism or Heroes or whatever it is was really just the perfect gift that adult could give Mersha. Like, I don't know of any kid who would not love that as a gift. It's the perfect gift from adult. He's just top notch in terms of gift giving. Absolutely amazing. I want that gift. That would be an amazing gift. Anyways, thank you, Sidehammer. Let's move on to some of the last posts for this, and then we'll move on to some questions. Sato says, Tolv fight was flippin' sweet. Kainia says, it's a bit of a shame that Tom wasn't mentioned to have been invited to see the garden. Maybe could have helped him a bit, but probably information leaks in his surroundings would have been too dangerous. Or Pirate Abba forgot. Who knows? I don't know if Erin would consider inviting Tom to that, though, just because, it's Tom. Aderon says, forgot about the ballista. It finally happened. Whoop. He was missing because of the fate stuff. And yeah, the fate comment was about Tolv. But yeah, the ballista, Magnolia just hit it out of the park with that. Actually, Kermit says, I thought it was hilarious when Chase Roll was all disappointed because Erin will only be as smart as Merlin. Shay said there's not enough time to train Erin before the solstice, but if there's one thing Erin excels at, it's created time out of nowhere. Training montage inbound. I think Chase Roll is just being mean to Erin with the Merlin stuff, but yeah. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most is Erin figuring out all this fate stuff in the future and constantly getting better at it. Obviously it's leading in the distant future to the Fate Garden, but right now it's still really cool to see. Or not Fate Garden, Fate skill that is evolution of the garden skill. Linu says, just personal opinion that I forgot to mention, Tolv is a joke. Like, for real, how to take him seriously? I'm confused why he is even in the story at this point. I thought that he's going to be a big bad evil guy for horns, but all of a sudden it's Erin fighting him, and turns out that apart from being plague monster, he has also hidden condition, my brain rot until it was empty. Unless he was just born stupid. Who knows? Some very strong opinions about Tolv right there, very strong. Aderon says, I loved how adults cared about Kevin. That was touching. Yeah. Adult seems to, care about the people he works with, even though he doesn't show it too much. But yeah, it was really nice. Almighty Nub says Seraphil's ultimate middle finger to her parents marrying Rabbit Eater. Counterpoint regarding Erin not having big damage moves. The true lightning bolt shot out of her doors is ridiculously strong. It is strong, but at the same time it's limited to her garden and the /N area. But on your Rabbit Eater comment, I want to see that. I want to see it. Seraphil X Rabbit Eater. It's perfect. Perfect.
I'm sorry, but she needs a portal cannon. She needs to drop a boulder on people.
I don't know if it'll ever happen. I'm sorry, Sidehammer.
It better happen. It's gonna happen. It better. There's no reason it can't. Damn it.
I think there's a lot of reasons why it can't. But anyways, let's move on to some of these questions. If you guys, I see a couple of you typing, just keep typing and I'll read out what you say. But let's get to question time. Let's just start out with, the start of the chapter. What will be the biggest impact of wisps on Innworld? And it's not just wisps either. It's all the ghostly undead. We are gonna start seeing wraiths more. We're gonna see all those juicy stuff again. And I think the biggest impact, maybe not on Innworld in general. Well, okay, it's partly biggest impact on Innworld. So I'll just say that we'll start seeing, the silver families, the families who were the families and clans who were in charge of dealing with these kind of threats in the past make a really big resurgence. Silverfangs, Byries, who obviously had their own issues, but the Byries will come back. Delani's family will have a comeback. All these families are going to see a lot more need for their services, and that's going to give them a lot more power in the short term and the long term. And additionally, just the ghosts and wisps themselves, we've already seen wisp dust, which is extremely rare nowadays, but obviously it's not going to be very rare anymore because wisps are now reintroduced. But I'm sure it has some uses in alchemy that have been impossible or next to impossible or have been very expensive in the past. And that kind of reintroduction of those alchemical goods is going to have a really big revolutionary impact on alchemists today. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can happen, but I don't see the ghosts and all that being a huge threat right now. But in the future they could be, but right now no. Anyways, those are my thoughts for this question. Let's move on to Aderon. You want to speak?
Yes. About the wisps, I think they're not gonna be having such a big impact because they're just a precursor. I mean, now that people know that now that it's more widely spread that it's wisps and how to fight them, I'm not really sure they're gonna be such a big problem. The problem is what they turn into if they're left alone, and that is what's really going to be the problem. And if these are just precursors, yeah, I don't even want to imagine what crazy shit is gonna happen at the winter solstice. I have a crack theory, or it's a theory that she's just gonna sick all the ghosts she killed on everybody. She and that now that people know how to, I don't know if the same methods against work against ghosts that are working against wisps. But if they do, it's probably was a big mistake to send even these wisps out, because now people are gonna be prepared against incorporeal in against ghost type Pokemon. What to do against them.
Yeah, you're definitely right that it depends on the place. There are going to be some places that simply don't have the countermeasures, and they'll see some very nasty things happen, I'm sure. And I'm sure that there is going to be some resurgence of adventurers specializing in this kind of thing. Nolictus might send out their hunters to deal with them, with the ghosts, and they might see a resurgence in political power. But one of the bigger things about certain places having issues is places with a lot of death. I really wonder if Kelt will have some particular issues with this. I
Nah,
really wonder.
Kel is gonna be having all the protections on the world, I
Yeah,
think.
they do have protections. You're right.
Yeah.
They will have protection, so they likely won't be super hard hit. But what about places like the Bloodfields? We know the Bloodfields have wars happen there every single year, and when they're not cleared, they get nasty. No one wants to go near them, so they're gonna have a lot of ghosts just sitting
Sure.
nearby. And I feel like that could be a significant issue in the near future for the score, for anyone near the Bloodfields, is just dealing with the ghosts that come from there, that will stay there, evolve a little bit, evolve from oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name, Haunter into Gengar. They're gonna level up a little bit, and
Ghost
they're
types
gonna
are okay.
and they're gonna come out and kill everyone. I think that could be a significant threat in the near future.
Again,
It'd be sad to
I
see a crossbow Stan show up and try to kill people after who
Oh,
died during
yeah,
the Kriller attack.
again, I
Sorry.
think Casigna is gonna sick the ghost from the Ghostland on people. She ate. Did she? I can't remember. Did Casigna ate them or kill them? Right
she ate
out.
them.
Yeah.
She
Oh,
ate.
and there it is. She's gonna sick all the ghosts, and they're gonna be maybe not. She's gonna Pirate Abba's gonna be is gonna do a Naruto where she's bringing old powerful people back and sicking them on the dead, on the living, and it's gonna be emotional, and this is what's gonna happen. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big solstice. I can already see it. It's gonna be big. All right, thank you, Edoron. Next up was Wovlu. What do you think?
I think that the biggest impact is going to be on classes. I was thinking along the lines of like necromancers, because nowadays necromancers in the story are like zombies and skeletons. But if they get their hands on wisp dust, I don't see why a necromancer wouldn't be able to like specialize in ghosts or something like that. And I think it'll just be a whole new branch of necromancy that a lot of people can use. I've been rereading Blood of Lascore, and one line that sort of confused me was that Revi can't resummon her spectral ancestral warriors or whatever. And so I was thinking, okay, well, why is that? Could it be that the ingredients that she'd need would be like spectral, like this wisp dust? So I'm thinking that a lot of classes are going to be really impacted by this. And I also think that this is a prelude to what Casigna's doing. I think that she's opening the gates of hell, and that's what she's planning for the winter solstice. But it could be, and I do agree, if that's the case, it's incredibly stupid for her to have let the wisps out. But that's also entirely on brand. So I'm looking forward to it.
You're absolutely right.
Underestimating the mortals. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about the classes. We've already seen it with witches. They already have said, these are in our ballpark. We can deal with them. We want them. We want to control them. We want to capture them. We can deal with them in the future. So yeah, other classes like Necromancer, like Summoner, are going to have a heyday with new little fun things around to deal with. I wonder if Azkarash is going to have something new to throw at the Tarandrians next time he gets the chance. That will be fun. He'll have a ghost undead, right? He'll have a bunch of ghost undead riding in the belly of his whale guy. But yeah. Sivseer says Erin is going to make a snow cone out of their dust. That'll be big. Okay, Sivseer, thank you. Mystical Pie says, I think the biggest material effect after Innworld gets used to a new ghost type undead will be whatever results from wisp dust. Casigna also mentioned not being able to see the end, so maybe she can see through the wisp's eyes. One thing to note about the wisps and wisp dust is wisps are the lowest tier, the very lowest tier of ghosts undead, and they seem to be, they seem to be uncommon, but not super uncommon. So I'm guessing wisp dust in general is, although today it's really rare because wisps weren't around today in the modern times. In the future, it's going to be kind of like a lower tier ingredient for alchemists. But I do agree that just reintroducing it is going to provide a lot of benefits for alchemists, and it'll be cool to see what those benefits are. Almighty Nub says, easy excuse for Ilvers to stock up his army with anti-undead stuff. Oh, that's a very good point. I didn't even consider that. I like where you're going with that, Almighty. It's excellent point. Excellent. Lunu says, I think that it depends on the place. In Rehere, both sides will be confused how the other one got power from Necromancer. But other than that, nothing. No one can threaten any of those kingdoms. In Tarandria, they do have Nelictus and they're old. They know how to fight ghosts. At least should. It's true. In Israel, they will figure it out unless Azzy starts using them for his advantage. In Belarus, they will just think that it's big smoke wisp great company. In Chandra, I don't know. They have Fetohip, and Fetohip solves many issues. Overall, unless some big powerful ghosts undead come out, I think the world should be okay. Yeah. I think overall this isn't going to kill off a lot of people. At least not in the beginning. But the ghosts can evolve. They can get stronger, and we might see some really bad issues when that happens. But who knows? All right, Sifsir, your giant wall of text. Here we go. Sifsir says, what I find interesting about the introduction of wisps / ghostly monsters in general is it is simultaneously a gig brain move by Kisigna and a brain dead one. It's not Kisigna's fault, of course. She doesn't have good intel on Erin, but this is a fuck up. The wisps are explicitly the echoes of people who have died in the past, their memories. Centering memories against a memory flame girl with memory flame knights with a witch class based about second chances is a bad idea. Erin has no problem inducting literally anything that moves into her knight order. When a wisp of Brunker shows up, you think she's not going to try make that memory into something new? Wow, I didn't consider that, Sivsir. That's a very interesting point, though, that yes, they are based on memories, and she has a lot of memory-related skills, memory flames, and her memory flame knights. That's an excellent point. We'll have to see if Pirate Abbott takes it in that direction, because at the same time they are just fragments of memory, so she might not be able to affect them nearly as much with her memory flames outside of just making them not super angry or murderous. And I don't think we'll see a wisp Brunker. I don't think we'll see that, unfortunately. Sir Bear says, I think Paba is continuing a theme of TWI, bringing back tradition and making part of the present. The witches, silver, etc. Yeah, that certainly seems to be something that's been happening a lot. Just bringing back all the old magic, and it seems to be a lot of gearing up towards another era like the Cruller Wars, where we have a lot of really high level people going around hitting people with their big wispy sticks. Sato says, doing lines of wisp dust will be the new trend among the rebellious youths of Tesla. Gives you a freaky out-of-body experience. I think that freaky out-of-body experience is called death. The wisp dust goes into your nose and then clogs the nose up, and then you just die. So yeah, I think it'll be a new trend, and then we'll have a lot of dead teens. Yeah. Brack Giraffe says, Casigna dumb, can't chess. Her making bad moves is very on brand. Well, let's give Casigna some benefit of the doubt right now. We don't know what her ultimate plan is, but I don't think it's just gonna be sending ghosts after Erin. So I think having these ghosts come around is it's fine. Maybe. Possibly. Who knows? We'll see in however long it takes to get to the solstice. It could be a month. Could be a year until we get to solstice. I don't know. Could be a while. All right. I think that's it for this question. Let's move on to some more questions. What did you guys think of the fight with Tolv and Erin? And what do you think Erin's trump card is? I personally really like that fight. It was really cool to see Erin show what she's been practicing for the last month at least. I forget the exact time. And if anyone remembers this, who watched streams the last 3 months, I forget how long ago it was, but we saw Erin do. We saw like a deleted scene of Erin doing something similar with her garden at some point, and now we see it in the actual canon text. So now we see how powerful she's become, and it's really interesting. Her gardens just give her so much versatility on what she can pull from, and being able to shoot out true lightning at people is just huge amount of power, and it's all tied to her inn. So it's not like she can just go out on adventures and uh, just blow people up. She still has limitations, but it was fascinating to see her deal with all of this with her garden. As to Erin's trump card, I think her trump card has to deal with her garden rather than anyone else's. Her garden. She's designing her garden, or she's figuring out some way to manipulate her garden into some form of trump card. Whether that is utilizing the statues themselves in some manner, or it's utilizing her memory flame, and making like a memory flame garden completely out of her own garden for a moment to kill people with it. Something like that, I think, is what her trump card is. But those are just kind of random guesses, and I'm not 100% positive on them. I hope it's something cool, though. It will be something cool. But yeah, it was a great fight. I loved it. Anyways, let's move on to some people who want to speak. So, Wovlu, you wanted to speak. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I did love the fight. It did screw with my conception of what the hell Tolv's danger level is, because I was under the impression that Tolv should have totally ended the fight immediately. I get that Erin's inside her garden, it's her place, but she's also fighting against something that's 30 levels outside of her league at the moment. And even if he's not being lethal, he should have gone ahead and been able to, I don't know, rip off her legs and arms and been like, all right, you're coming with me to the city of the dead or whatever. He should have totally had that under control throughout the entire time. And the entire time I'm just wondering, well, why isn't he, crippling her for life or whatever and being evil like he's supposed to be? It's just that the fight opened up with him being so fast that she couldn't even get into her garden in time. And I'm thinking, where is that? Where is that danger throughout the entire fight? And yeah, so for me, it just sort of screwed with my perception of him. I get that he was holding back because he didn't want to kill her, but he could have neutralized her in a lot of ways without killing her. And I just felt like it kind of it leaned too heavily on him holding back way too much. Because this guy's dangerous to unicorns and dragons. Erin should not have stood a chance.
All right, well, part of it is, like you said, her holding back, but I think part of it is also we just didn't get to see exactly what was happening. She definitely surprised him in a lot of ways, and I think that kind of element of surprise was it played a very big factor here. But I understand where you're coming from with that, Wevu. It's kind of hard with any power scale like that to properly make a proper fight of it. So yeah, I understand.
There was something else too that I wanted to mention, like in terms of his power scale being so weird. Like he was wary of Symphony, you know? Like Symphony noticed him and he's like, well, maybe we shouldn't fight. But this guy, I mean, he was willing to take on Teriarch. He was willing to fight Teriarch. So his power scale is just whack right now for me. That's my main annoyance with it.
What do you mean symphony? What part?
So I think it was prior to the tournament with
Yeah.
So he was walking through the town, and Symphony, like, I guess, did a quick attack on him, and he managed to dodge it. And then Symphony is like, well, we don't want to get into a fight here, and you don't want to get into a fight here, and the guy agreed. But Symphony shouldn't have been a threat to him with what we know he can do.
I think that in particular was more that even if he took out Symphony, he would have had to fight. You know, there would have been other people who would have come and fought him too, simply because their fight would have gotten into a really big mess. And so Symphony, you know, obviously I don't think they could have beat him there, but I think that the main issue was just him keeping a low key at that point rather than them beating him. But that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I think it's less him being scared of Symphony and more him having a misconception of the world's current power level. Because where he comes from, paladins and holy knights are commonplace, and if he draws attention, those are the kind of people that are going to come. He didn't want to avoid Symphony, he wanted to avoid drawing attention at all.
Yeah, that I definitely agree with that, Brack. All right. I think that's it for you, Wevu. Let's go on to some more people. Sidehammer says portal cannon. All right, Sidehammer, you want that portal cannon. We understand. All right, Edoron, do you want to speak though?
Yes. I think there are many factors that were happening in this fight. To be honest, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Erin was still riding her Fate Awakening wave, and it wouldn't have surprised me if this was a big factor even in that fight. And she has control. She has control of the garden, and normally you couldn't even fight in the garden, if I remember as correctly. And the fact that he could fight there, he still was probably very, very handicapped. I don't know how or what his handicap was, but I think he was handicapped. Plus the fate powers, and he was holding himself back. I think there were many, many things coming together that Erin just not immediately lost. And otherwise that, I think the fight was amazing. It is exactly how I imagined Erin fighting. We saw a little bit when she fought the assassin that stormed her in, and now we saw it in like it's half form. She didn't go full Super Saiyan yet, but she was half there, and it was exactly how I imagined the fight is going. And about the power scaling, I don't know if to be honest, if I overestimate or underestimate Teriarch a bit, or Toph, because he said he didn't want to fight Symphony. But I mean, I know Teriarch is powerful, but even Teriarch is afraid of. I mean, dragons did dive to humans. And if we see that at power, I mean, this Symphony is a full named rank team, and even though the fight, I think the fight would have been way harder for him. I mean, I don't know if I underestimate it. I think I overestimate Toph a little bit, or even Teriak in comparison to like other named adventurers and named ranked powerhouses, because there can be threats to even these mighty monsters, I think.
Yeah, you're absolutely right that, although we like to think of the power rankings as kind of set in stone, kind of, a dragon can't die to some level 20 guy. It's not that set in stone. There are circumstances where,
Dragon did die to humans.
yeah,
Humans hunted, not really hunt, but yeah, dragons did die to humans, to powerful humans. And Symphony is named rank. A named rank is nothing. It's nothing to snap at. I mean, Torf really had an easy time with what's the assassin lady in Aaron's Inn?
Tessa.
With Tessa, but I think it's also a good matchup. A good matchup. It was a good matchup for him. It was an open fight against an assassin, and some other named adventurers in a team. Like it would a completely different fight against, like, if you had a mage or more warriors who are on a higher level. And that's why I think power scaling is difficult.
Yeah, it is. It really is, especially in a world where it's not a pure game. There's
Yeah.
levels and such, but there's no hit points. There's no mana points. There's no set in stone things like that where someone super high level is always going to win against everyone below their level. Yeah. Thank you, Edoron. Let's move on to some of the comments now. Sado says Aaron's trump card is a circle of binding laid on the floor of one of the gardens in silver, gold, blood, and fire. It's a trap for the dead gods. I'm not sure she would be able to trap any of the dead gods at all. But if she could, that would be really cool. But I really, really doubt it. Really doubt it. Violet says maybe something to do with the statues in the garden. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards that too. Some use for them that we haven't seen yet. Mystical Pie says, I really enjoyed the fight, particularly the visual of Aaron popping in and out of doors, being backlit by various environments. Very cool. Garden is where Aaron is in her element and feels truly high level. No clue what the trump card could be, to be honest. Yeah, the garden really comes through as one of her level 40 capstone skills. It really, really shines. That's what, it excites me. We're getting close to 50 because we'll get at least another one skill like that. Hopefully 2, maybe 3. Sivseer says the trump card is going to be a slime. A slime, really. Callback to Aaron creating the healing slime. Aaron has gradually become more and more ruthless as the volume goes on. I think the memory of Torin and the Rebelish Dream will stop Aaron from creating a second healing slime, but some kind of super slime based off Heat Flame or New Flame based on the gnomes. Totally possible. Alright, Sivseer, I'm going to have to completely disagree with you here. I don't see her ever creating any more new life intentionally like that. And the healing slime, it doesn't matter if it's just healing slime or if it's hate flame slime or it's some other kind of slime. That's still all life to her. So I just don't see it ever happening. Sir Bear says, we didn't see the Shadowbred fortress being used. It could be hiding that secret weapon. Oh, that's a good point. The Shadowbred could be hiding something, and more than just the inn. It could be hiding something in her garden. That's true. Sato says Shadowbed Fortress is blocking Casigna from seeing Erin. That's true, but it could be serving two dual purposes, Sato. These are good points, Sir Bear. Almighty Nub says, won't she also have the Cackle Brew? The real one, not the proof of concept she tested earlier. She will. She will, as long as she's actually continued to make it. Mr. Europe replied to Wovlu by saying, I will say, at the start it was Tolv having planned things out, and in the garden it was Erin's month-long planning coming into play. Yeah, Erin has been planning this for a while, and so she has some good tricks up her sleeve. Lenu says, Erin's trump card is that she has a secret shield. It's a shield made out of memories and wonder. I think if it really came down to something very serious, Erin would summon that shield, yell, tell me how the grass tastes, little undead man, and smack Tolv with it. That would make him fall down and die. On a more serious note, Tolv is a brain cripple beyond measure, but beyond that, Erin power skill is very wonky. In my opinion, if her enemies had more than 2.5 brain cells, then I think they would abuse one thing. Erin can fight on any legit level only in her garden. Literally only there, because without superpowers, she's just a level 20 or so witch, one that isn't even a battle witch on top of that. That's a witch of 7 chances, not witch of napalm and continuous war crimes. Just siege that shit. It's literally that easy. Destroy the inn. Garden won't stand without inn because it's part of the inn. But about her power level, divide it like this. Also, honorable mention that gardens got sieged before in the past and they haven't killed. It's doable and it has been done already. Erin in her gardens, name tagged. Erin in her inn, about level 25, 30. Erin outside of her inn, rip. Alright, that's a lot, Linu. A lot to take in. But the thing is, Erin in her inn is always Erin in her gardens. You can't take her garden away while she's in her inn, It's always a part of her. She can open a door instantaneously and send out a lightning bolt instantaneously. So as long as she's in her inn, she's in her garden practically. But yes, if you want to deal with Erin, you can't deal with Erin in her inn in an easy. It's much easier to deal with Erin outside her inn, though I don't think it's easy to just destroy the inn itself. Wovu replies to Linu by saying, if Erin is fighting in her inn, she's able to drag someone into her garden. Yeah, just exactly what I was saying. Erin is just name rank danger in her inn at this point. I think only Salas and Tessa could really contest her in her inn. Yeah, Wovu, you're right in that she's up there. Name Drake, I think, up there. Yeah. Mr. Europe says, Terry could die in a duel with a child if he tries to be cool and crashes into the ground like he did with Riss. Yes. If Terry's an idiot, he can die in a duel with a child. Exactly. Bedless Sleeper replied to Mr. Europe by saying, flying at Mach speed. Yeah, he really did hurt himself by being an idiot. Almighty Nubs says, people tend to forget she has level 49 Tavern Brawling as well, which can be used wherever. Yeah, that does give her a big punch, but at the same time, a lot of other classes have those kind of punches. It just, it's only one passive benefit, I should say, compared to other classes that have a lot. Anyways, let's move on to another question. We'll do maybe 2 or 3 more questions, and then we'll stop because it's an hour now. I don't want this to go on too long. So let's do this one. Christmas. How did you all like the Christmas party and everything that happened there? So, what was your favorite part about it? What you hate about it? What you love about it? Anything at all? Personally, I really, really enjoyed the present scenes. They were very emotional, and especially Erin getting the getting the umbrella from Nearest. I just thought that was a very nice gift from him. And obviously, the ballista from Magnolia, which Almighty Nubs just pointed out, the ballista from Magnolia to Bird is just it's the perfect gift for him. I am terrified for the inn. I'm terrified for any bird that flies by the inn now. It's Bird is going to be a gigantic menace. It's going to be hard for everyone to deal with him now. I also kind of wonder if I wonder how Magnolia got a freaking Minos ballista. Like it's from the Minotaurs, not just one she got from the walled city. It's one of Minos's ones, which are apparently very high quality. So it's going to be something else. But yeah, the Christmas party was just so much fun, and seeing Erin be vulnerable and show everyone her home when she actually could show them her home and actually remember it for once was just great. It was a lovely, lovely, lovely scene to see. It was even, true to form with like the kids not really liking it, not really getting the point, and the adults being the opposite. They understood. All right, Edron, you want to speak?
Yes, I can just totally agree. The part where Erin showed everybody her home was freaking emotional, and I almost teared up when everybody started like remembering and breaking down a little bit when Kevin really was. I mean, he was clenching his hands so hard, he started bleeding. And Harold taking care of, oh, that was such a sweet moment when Harold took care of Kevin. Harold is such an MVP character. I love that man so much. That was amazing. I just hope that Erin said she can allow other people to show them their home. I mean, I really, really want to see the reaction of like these palace snubs when they stand in the middle of New York and see the pinnacle of human engineering with with uh, uh, with the houses and the planes flying around and cars everywhere. That would get such a culture shock. I mean, I probably would just keel over. I would love to see their reaction for that. And I just I racked my brain about small presences, and the needle present was just genius. I didn't even think about. Man, that's why Pirate is the author. It's just a perfect gift for all the friends of the inn. Just a needle, just a way to show them the way home, or to a place where they're always welcome. Olvama, I mean, I can't recall if that was still the present scene where Olvama is finally let into the family. I mean, she is part of the family. I mean, I personally hope there's even something more, but that's a different story. But yeah, the whole present stuff was amazing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about just those little gifts meaning so much. That needle was a very good gift. It was, and those kind of little small gifts are better than a lot of big
Yeah,
expensive gifts. It just is more meaningful.
I
Even
didn't
if,
even think about it.
yeah, I never would have thought about that too.
I mean, I can just recall, if you are a courier, if you are a friend of the inn, you are somewhere, you are just cold somewhere, and just look at the needle showing you the direction, and just it's just for even remembering. It's
Yeah.
powerful gift.
I definitely agree. It was great. All right. Thank you, Edron. Let's go to some of the comments. Mystical Pie says, I think the present scenes were fun, and I really enjoyed Erin's gift to her guests as well. Erin's scrambling last-minute chapters are always fun, and I enjoyed Pirate using the premise to check in on Rabbit Eater and some other side characters around the world. Yeah, it was a good way. It was a good way to connect with a bunch of different people instead of just sticking to Erin and her inn. And it's always nice to connect with other characters. Sivsir says, I loved the betting. I love how numb people are to Erin moments now. She cannot phase them anymore. People legitimately stop for a second and consider, are the wisps Erin's fault? Which they are, but it's funny seeing Palt running the betting pool, seeing Chaldean win the pool because he had most faith in Erin is also kind of cute. He undercut it by implying it was emotional blackmail, but it is telling he was the one who thought Erin would pull it off. Erin's gifts were good. The color paint for the ants, the Wonder Ball, the needles, it's all good. Yeah. Absolutely agree with you, Sivsir. Chaldean just, his brain is in the right place, but he's thinking of all these things for the wrong reasons. He's cynical to the point of only being cynical, and he understands Erin in that cynical way, but he can't. He's not coming at it from the right angle. Almighty Nub says, you know how Erin can control her inn, like open doors, lock things, all that kind of stuff? Wouldn't the ballista be considered part of her inn? Meaning she can control it with her mind. Also, ballista plus garden portals equal ballista can aim anywhere and in, even indoors. So the last part, yeah. Ballista plus garden portals is really cool. The first part, I don't think she can control things in her inn, like mentally. I don't think she can pick things up or physically control them just because they're in her inn. Sir Bear says, I love the order solstice during drinking different flame minotaurs punches. After 3 IRL years and 2 inverse seasons, we finally saw them. True. Wavu says, the needle will prove to a globetrotter like Sieve that the world is round. Yes, that is the key takeaway from the needle. The world is round. Oh man. Ederon says, oh, I forgot. I bet the needles are going to help. When some of them are going to end up in the crossroads, I bet the needles are even going to be a lifesaver. That's a good point. I wonder where they would point when you're in the crossroads. Because it seems to be a different dimension altogether. Does it point to an exit, or does it just go haywire?
Witchy stuff is still gonna work there.
Yeah.
Because witch magic is also a little bit outside of like everything.
It could function like that. We'll see. It's a good prediction though, Ederon. Bedless Sleeper responds to all of my nubs by saying, I thought Tolv locked the door. Tavar says, Erin has previously locked her front door remotely and her windows. Ballista theory is a go. I don't remember this.
I remember this.
I remember this.
She used that when she tested Kakolbu. She locked everyone in the inn when she poisoned Lionette with the tea.
All right, well, maybe she can control doors and such, but I've never seen her mentally pick up one of her pans before and throw it at someone. So I don't think she's going to be able to control the ballista. All right, how about that? Bezel Sleeper, Almighty Nub says, I swear she's used her incense or whatever to do things like shut and lock doors. Bezel Sleeper says, yes, she can, but specifically I thought Tolv was one to lock the door to prevent her escape. But if Erin locked it, that's pretty cool because it again indicates how she wanted to deal with Tolv alone. Sidehammer says, I thought the umbrella was a weird gift. What's it for? Just an LED umbrella? Why is that useful? Just a keepsake? Did I miss something? Well, first off, the umbrella is just, it reminds her of her time in the lands of the dead, That umbrella is what she used to fight off the dead gods for a lot of the time. So just, right off the bat, that's a sentimental reason. That's something she could, connect to right there. But I think the umbrella, Niers used a lot of very powerful light magic with it. So I think at the very least, if something is weak to light magic, that umbrella will be able to be good against it, or something like that. There are probably some useful aspects to it. Sivseer replied to Sidehammer by saying, final equivalent of the Winter Solstice gift. She has the horn in the form of the World's Eye Theater, Midnight Lows are the noose, and now we have the umbrella. That's a good point, Sivseer. That is a good point. And Almighty Nub says, also regarding Ballista, I brought it up because wouldn't the Ballista have to be installed onto the inn, like physically built onto the tower? That's why I thought it would be part of the inn, not an end object inside of it. It might need to be. We'll see how Bird gets it up there. Like, he'll obviously need a little crane or something. Maybe the Antinium will have to break down his tower somehow. But we'll see, Almighty. We'll see. Sidehammer says, I can't imagine it's as powerful as a gift from a god. Oh, no. Absolutely not. The umbrella that Erin had in the Deadlands was more powerful than this one. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. But, I don't think it was just about the power of the item. I think a lot of it was sentimental. Alright. Mystical Pie says, definitely more sentimental. And Bed of the Sleeper says it'll probably help against a horde of wisps or something for a brief moment. Yeah, I could see it being used against wisps. Yeah, for sure. Alright. Sidehammer says, cape still best gift. Yes, it is. That cape is forever the best gift. Alright, I think we'll move on to the last question. And let me look for the best last question. Mm-hmm. Alright, I guess we'll just go with this. What are your thoughts about Erin figuring out how to use fate to her advantage? Anything, any predictions, anything like that anyone has? Let me read out the last message. Almighty Nub says, Paul's gift was best. Pipe is part of Erin's identity, like her witch hat. Alright, that's a very good gift for Erin, but still, the Cape of Heroes is the best gift. Anyways, back to this question. I really am excited for this. It's something we haven't seen from any characters besides the Fae, and the Fae have used this kind of fate sight thing, this fate sight power to see a lot of different things. They're very good at it. They're very powerful, and they've told Ryoka and Erin things that are going to happen because of it. And now that Erin is starting to go down that path, I think she can have that soft power approach where she's not a big powerhouse, but still is very, very influential simply because of what she knows. And I think this is a very big step forward in that direction. And I can't wait. I also think it ties into her getting the Pavilion of Secrets at level 50, which is absolutely going to happen. We all know it's going to happen. That's going to be one of her skills for level 50 is Pavilion of Secrets. It's going to happen. And yeah. It's cool. It was a really cool scene. And it's really interesting to see what she's going to do with it in the future. Well, Lou, you're up.
All right, so I don't fully understand. Like, I was reading through it, and I'm like, I'm not 100% on what I'm understanding here. But my understanding is that basically this is like the ability to see like a crossroads, like to be at a point where you're like, this event can go one way or another, and then being able to figure out the optimal way. That's sort of how I pieced it together in my mind. I might be wrong. I'm gonna have to reread it a couple times to get it because it sounds a little confusing. But I think that she will be able to use this in like fights. She'll be able to use this in saving lives and giving advice and stuff like that. Like we've seen her like manipulate or not manipulate, but influence people in a bunch of different ways, a bunch of critical times, like especially with Pawn. So I think that this is going to be something that she's just more actively doing. I think she has passively used this ability in the past, and I just think that now she's aware of it and she's able to more easily capitalize on it.
Yeah, it's as Shashel said, it's basically just an evolution of normal people's ability to, quote unquote, see in the future, just predict what will happen. Everyone does it to a larger, smaller degree with everything they do, but now Erin is just getting much, much better at it, which is interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Wavu. Let me read out these comments. Bedless Sleeper says she'll finally beat Shastrel. Let's go. I don't know if Shastrel will ever let her beat her. Who knows? I don't think Erin is good enough at that yet. Sivseer says, I can't wait for Erin to bust this out in chess. I think Erin won't want to do this in like normal chess games simply because it's more cheaty, and it's like it doesn't give her, it doesn't help her get better at chess. It helps her get better at this fate thing. It doesn't help get her better at chess, if you know what I mean. Tavares says, I think a big question is whether Erin can practice fate manipulation in an immortal moment, because I expect it to happen so she can challenge Fae and gods at their level eventually. Otherwise, the timeline is too long. What happens when Erin has to confront the trolley problem, but with fate? It's a good point that the training for it can actually take a long time, but at the same time, Erin's part of the system. She gets cheat skills. She could get a skill that helps her do this, and it would drastically decrease the amount of time required to learn about it. Like she has a built-in garden, or not a garden, a built-in upgraded skill from the garden. There's the Pavilion of Secrets, and then there's the Fate Garden, or Fate skill, I should say. I keep calling it a garden. I don't mean to. She has the Fate skill after the Pavilion of Secrets. And that Fate skill is definitely going to either require her to understand more about fate manipulation, and help her in manipulating fate. Almighty Nub says, I strongly believe Erin will get the Pavilion of Fate at level 50. I also think the Pavilion will let her power level her fate manipulation against Shay's expectations. Like how the Fae really value healing potions from Innworld, a Pavilion will be Erin's way of cheating the fate stuff. So the second, so there's three skills total. There's Garden of Sanctuaries, there's Pavilion of Secrets on Pavilion of Fate, and then there's the Fate skill. But it seems to be they're in that order. It's Pavilion of Secrets after the Garden rather than the Fate skill. So I don't think she's gonna get the Fate skill at level 50 because she still needs to get the Pavilion of Secrets first. And she's a pretty big novice at this whole Fate thing still. Mystic Pie says, I'm excited to see where this is going for sure. This definitely feels like it's only the beginning of how Erin interacts with Fate. Fate is the final step of Guardian Sanctuary after the Pavilion of Secrets, and it feels like she's just taking the first step on the long road to gaining mastery with a sixth sense. She's just understood the rules to the game, and now she gets to try and master it. Excellent point, Mystic Pie. It's exactly what I think. Exactly. Good points. Sidehammer says, a picture route choosing plus time powers plus memory powers equals something pretty broken. Yeah, absolutely. It's all from being an innkeeper too, rather than something like an empress, where that's even more relevant. But for an innkeeper of all people to get those kind of things, that's incredibly broken. Brack Draft says, it seems like a weird pick. What happens, Aura? I wonder how far it can be pushed. I'm not sure exactly what you just said, Brack. It seems like a weird pick. What happens, Aura? I wonder how. Yeah, I'm having trouble parsing that, Brack. So I won't respond. But Bedless Sleeper says, I wonder if her sense of fate was like how when the Bloodfield had Krellers and she felt the danger from miles away and went flicking through the door, or that was just her danger sense. It seemed to be really good compared to some other people's. I do believe that was her danger sense. I do believe that, rather than fate. Could be. I mean, danger sense was is partially related to fate, fate sight too, I think. And so I believe if she gets even better at fate sight and all that, her danger sense will be affected by it too. It'll get better along with it. Sir Bear says the danger sense was for Torin, and Miss Pie is typing. Other than that, I think we're done. Mr. Pie says, Danger Sense seems like a cheese system version of some understanding of fate. Yeah, exactly. It seems to be exactly that. Just some way the system gives you a look into the future, like the Fate Sense does. But yeah, it's now been an hour and 20 minutes for this talk. I think I'm going to wrap it up with this question now. I think we got some good discussion on it. Bedless Sleeper says, like Nier's ability to sense when/how many attackers. Cheaty. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's it for this discussion. This was 9.55 after chapter discussion, part 1 and 2. It's a great chapter. And I'm going to end the recording unless anyone has anything left to say.
TWI is the best story ever written.
Thank you, Edoron. Perfect ending.